Okay, I'm back live. I am not getting a uh, echo, so that's good. Now let's see if this gets any better. That seems to be about right. Okay. Okay. Shall we review the materials then? And find yourself a blueprint texture that's square. The one thing I don't like about the chat system in this is because it doesn't make a noise when there's something new here. Okay. Where shall we start? Where did the audio go to hell for you, and where should we restart? Okay. Turn on your grid snap, and that's up here. Go to Create NURBS Primitive Plane. Start at 4x4 up and down to there. Next, go to Window, Rendering Editors, Hypershade. Pick a new material called Lambert. This is over here in the Create Nodes here. Click it. And then you can minimize this. And here it gives you in the side box the name of it. You can rename it here or rename it in the other one. Let's go ahead and rename it in the other one. Rename it. Well, name it. I can't type today, I'm spazzing. Top view 2. And as soon as you finish doing that, hit Tab. And that will change the name. And make sure that this tab up here changes. Then go down to Color and across to this black and white checkerboard and click that. That will give you this floater that has File on it. Click the tab that says File, and then you get this thing here that says Image Name. Slide across to the Manila folder and click it, and this will pop up usually your Source Images tab. And scroll down until you find your top view. Stuka topside. Let's see. And hit Open. Are you with me so far? Have you created a material? Okay, good. Now, bring the Hypershade back. You can either minimize it, which I can't do with the Livestream going, because Livestream takes up the bottom of my screen. And go to your new material. It says Top View 2. And as long as you know where it is, keep it in view. Click your grid plane and then right click on the material, Top View 2, and it'll bring up this pie menu. At the 12 o'clock position is Assign Material to Selection. Right click on that, drag it up, and release. And you should have your material. Now, if you'll notice, there is a metric scale right there. Spacebar in Maya changes your view. Oh, these you'll find useful, and I'll explain them later. This button here is X-ray. This button here is the same thing as the number keys here. 4, 5, well, 4, 6, and then this puts wireframes on your shaded view. And this turns textures on and off. But notice we have this metric scale here. This is where you make sure everything is right in terms of size and second life. Now you made sure your file is, well, let's look at preferences for a second. In Window, Settings, Preferences, go to Preferences, then you get this floater here, and you drop down to Settings. And you make sure Z is up, and your scale is set to meters. You can save Z up, but this always defaults to centimeter. And once you have that, you hit Save. Now, if you didn't do that, your square is going to be very tiny. But that's not a problem right now because we're going to scale it up. But once you're on the proper metric scale with these squares equaling 1 meter, you go down here to the scale on your blueprint and you go up to this Create tab, and instead of creating another plane, you create a measure tool and you create what's called a distance tool. Now before you set anything down, you turn off your grid snaps and you go down to the metric scale, and at the first one click on the 0, and on the second one click on the 2, and I'm going to put this on X-ray so you can see the numbers in white. See the numbers? That is the percentage, that is the size in meters right now. So it is at 0.96 meters, or almost a meter. So that's a little less than a grid square. But you want to make sure that 1, everything scales up correctly, and 2, remains centered. And this is the reason why we centered the blueprints, is because it's centered to the origin of the world. So what you do is you go out, you hit the Q key, that's your quick key, and you select everything. And once everything is selected, that means everything turns white except for the last object, which remains there. And you go up to Edit, and you go all the way down here to Group, Control G. And when that groups everything, it recenters everything at the origin of the world, at the 0, 0, 0 point. Then you hit R for scale. And while watching these numbers right here, you scale up until you get as close to 2 as possible. And that is 2 meters and 0.898 millimeters. That is less than a millimeter, so that's pretty precise. And then you just release. So right there, your plans are now correctly scaled or close enough for Second Life. As far as I know, I have not found it yet. There may be a way to do it, but I have not found it. But for Second Life purposes, there's no reason to be there's no reason to be more precise than maybe a millimeter. Now, once you've done that, you go up to Edit, and you go Group, Ungroup. So everything is ungrouped again. Now, if you want, and I do, I'll keep the measuring tools around. But now that we have this scale correctly, that means every image that we place in this plane is going to be the right size for every view. So what you do is you turn your grid snaps back on, and you hit Control D and the W key, and now we have a duplicate there. But let's say we want to do a side view, so we just do that. Nudge this in the direction you want the side view to go, then go up to the channel box and hit 90.0 and tab it. And with the grid snap on, you move it out of the way, and you move that down. Now, for everything you make, name it. Otherwise, you're going to get confused. So it's a good idea to just name everything as you create it. Now, during a lot of operations, it's going to put default names in it, and that's okay until you're close to the end. So that's the wrong view. So what you do is you just go up to the hypershade. Oops, wrong one. And since you're looking through it, it's the port side. Right-click, assign material to selection, because we're putting the port side view on the port plane. And as you can see, we have our port view. And then we duplicate it and we pull it over to the starboard view. And with that, we rename that starb plane. Now there's a cute trick that I did with the planes that I made. And this saves a lot of hassle when you're trying to look at something. And I'm going to open a file and show it to you. Okay, what you see here is, you know that effect in Second Life when you look at the wrong side of a mesh and it disappears? You can do that in Maya to your advantage. And how you do that is that you create a polygon plane. Let's go ahead and map the starboard view to it. Okay, there's the starboard view of your Spitfire. But if you flip around, there's the port view. So port, starboard. So what you do is you convert this from a NURBS to a polygon. And you go up here to modify, and you go to convert, and you go convert NURBS to polygon, and you hit the option box here. And you want to hit these attributes. Tessellation general. You want to tessellate it to quads, or in this case one big quad. U and V are your texture coordinates, and in NURBS they have them automatically. In U, you want per number of surface isoparms in 3D. And V, number of isoparms in 3D. And then you hit tessellate. Apply, close. And what this will give you is did that even work? Yes, it did. It's now a polyplane. So you go to display, down to polygons, and you hit backface culling. And now you see we only have it on one side. Now if it's the wrong side, you go up here to normals and you just say reverse. And there you see it showing the port side, but that's not right, so you go back to normals, you reverse it again. Or you hit undo. And that way you never have the planes in your view. Now, a little different is how you handle cross sections. Now, a lot of blueprints will give you little cross sections, and I prefer the ones that do. Even the ones that look like they were drawn with a felt tip from that Russian Air War site. And what you do is these are done at the same overall scale as the rest of the blueprints, but since they're cross section, instead of doing an 8x8 plane, you start with a 2x2 because it's 256 and 1024 is 8x8. And with cross sections you put them in the middle. Now these didn't work, but sometimes they work on other files. Like I'll show you the the F15. Okay. So you remember the F15, right? Okay. We're going to pick a scene somewhat in the early stages of making the F15. And this is when I did the low LOD, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to the work layer. Because here's our template layer. And this is going to take a while to come up because the textures are really huge. I did these with 4096 textures, which are really high res, and it makes my video card ache. As you can see, the stream is hiccuping, the audio is hiccuping. That's because these are very large images. Okay. Now here's where the thing is going to cry. Boom. I'm bringing up the cross sections. The orthographic views of the blueprints, those are all 24-bit targets. The cross sections are all 32-bit with alpha channels. Each cross section okay, yeah. Each cross section is a square. And I went with a 512 because of the wingspan. But I wanted them two-sided so I could build the objects in both directions. But you can see everything, including the interior contours of the cockpit and its floor, are represented. These are exceptionally nice blueprints, which is why the F-15 turned out so nice. But this allowed me to throw a very low polygon shape and still capture the feeling of the F-15 accurately. And you only need to build half because most planes are symmetrical. We're not going to talk about weird German photo reconnaissance planes from World War II yet, or Burt Rutan's ground attack design. Anyway, but let's go back to another file. Let's just create a completely new scene. There. So, what do you need to know about basic basic workspace setup? We showed you the prep. Okay, that's easy. Go to Window, go to Settings and Preferences, hit Preferences, then on this floater, go to Settings. For Second Life, you want to hit Z up. You want to change to meters. Angle is degrees. I think it'll gives radians. And because I work in video, I tend to go 30 frames per second. NTSC. And I hit save. Now here you're going to get an interesting situation where your clipping plane will wipe it out. And that is a function of the Maya cameras. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to your three views, top, front, and right hand side, and here. And what you do is you go up to View and you hit Select Camera. And this gives you the location of all your cameras. But again, you're going to hit the ever magic Control A key because you want to bring up the attributes. And the units are expressed in meters. So you want to keep the near clip plane to, let's say, 1/10 of a millimeter. And you want to keep your far clip plane, let's see, how big are we making? Let's say it's an airplane, 100 meters. And you hit Tab. Now you go down with the Control A still open. You hit Select Camera on each view, and you do the same thing. And then you go to the next one, select camera, and you do 0.001 to 100, and then the last one, select camera, 0.0001, tab, 100, tab. And now when you go back, you can see your whole grid until you're about 100 meters away. Now in a lot of cases, I'll scratch this all the way out to 1 kilometer, so 1,000 meters, and tab out. And that means I can see the grid all the way out to 1 kilometer, which means I don't get lost very often. The navigation keys are the nicest and easiest part of Maya. Do you have a 3-button mouse or a 2-button mouse with a mouse wheel? Okay. Hold down the Alt key and left mouse button gets you rotation. Hold down the Alt key and either roll with the mouse wheel or hold down the middle mouse key, and the middle mouse key gives you pan. And the right mouse button gives you truck. So truck, push down, pan, and rotate. Another thing that's really useful is the focus key. So let's create a cube. Alt left is not giving you rotation. It should. It even works with the okay. Alt rotate, Alt middle mouse button, or pushing in the mouse wheel. Alt right mouse button gives you truck. Pan and rotate. Yeah, there's probably a setting in there. Let's go to Window, Settings and Preferences, go to Preferences, and go to UI Elements. That's not it. Well, let's look at this together. Well, here. The drastic method is this, let's see. I know there's one that allows you to there we go, hotkey editor. There we go. Windows, Settings, Preferences, Hotkey Editor under Performance Settings. Oh! We'll need to deal with Plugin Manager, but probably later. Okay. What does the what is the behavior when you hold down the Alt key and hit left mouse on the screen? Oh, okay. That is a camera error. So what you need to do is you don't need to edit any hotkeys. Okay, and that is a problem when you're going from Y to Z. So what you need to do is you need to go to Panels, and you need to go to Perspective, and you hit New. Or, conversely, since you have saved Z up, get out of this file without saving. Okay. Now, you have the overview of how to set up your files. Now we're going to go to basic practices, okay? So let's go back to the Stuka. Project, set, hit OK. Open scene. No, you can make whatever you want, because I'm just going to go through basic techniques. Okay. The reason why I'm going to the Stuka is because it's a currently set up template file. Now I will go to the front view. Scorpion maybe, but what you ought to do is ask Aeon what he wants. Wait, you make the F4U? God damn it, I wanted to make that. I've had that thing for 4 years and okay. No, I got tons on my plate at the moment. It needs to come out. So let's start again with the Stuka. Cylinder. Let's look at the plans. We're going to build the high LOD version before we attack the low LODs. So I'm going to go ahead and create a cylinder. Oops. Which doesn't have enough divisions. So yep. Let's say 24, because that divides to 6, because we want 6 for the lowest LOD. 12 for the medium LOD and 6 for the lowest. Okay. That covers up everything we need to see. Now you noticed I created it on the center, and that's important because you want to make sure everything's centered. But once you create it, it'll put the pivot point in the center, and with grid snap on, you just drag it back to the center of the universe and make sure it's centered. Then you go up here to the X-ray button. And then you go to the side view. Now here's let me go ahead and show you that again, because I was about to go into something rather advanced because I do it so often. Okay, here's our 24-sided cylinder. If you right click on any object that's a polygon, you will get this pie menu, and this gives you the components and sub-objects of each object. So what you want to do is you want to go to object mode, gets you out of it, but if you go to interesting, okay, right click on an object in your Maya scene and I'll talk you through it and tell me when you got it. Alt keys. Oh, and if you need to move the object, W is move, E is rotate, and R is scale. Hold on a second, I'm going to stop the stream.